Hello guys, welcome back to the Sauceros podcast. Today we're gonna have Sam in here today. She's actually one of the creators of Latin Night at the Duce, or she is a creator of Latin Night at the Duce, and one of the co-founders, co-creators of the Latin Soul Festival at ASU. So she's in charge of creating these great events. We want to get to know her a little bit more and also get to know the background of just these events, basically. So can you give us just a quick rundown of like anything you want to add to your description?
That pretty much covers it. I guess I would just say shout out David Olarte because he's my partner in both of those things. So, co-founded Latin Soul Festival at ASU together with him, and then that kind of led into the creation of Latin Night at the Duce as well.
Awesome. Okay, and David is the director of Stilo Dance Company?
Yep, yeah, together with Carla Leon as well. And then David is also head of Latin dance, various different Latin dance programs at ASU as well. Yeah, faculty there.
Yeah, we're hoping to have him on too, so.
You'll get him on. You'll get him on. Okay, David, if you're listening, this is your sign. You need to go on this podcast. Can't just be me holding down the fort.
There we go. Yeah, we got the in.
You got the in, you got the in. I'll force him.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for that. So can you go into just like, so you're a social dancer or a dancer first before all of this, right? Before
creating the events and whatnot, yeah.
So if you can go into your, just so people can relate to you, your background as a dancer and like how it all started, whatever you want to talk about.
How it all started? Well, it goes all the way back to 19, no, I'm just kidding. With salsa, where did it all start? Actually, it kind of started like before salsa because I've been doing various forms of movement my whole life. So for my whole childhood was all revolved around being a gymnast, training as a child to become a professional gymnast. Like my life goal was to be in the Olympics, to win gold at the Olympics for the USA gymnastics team. That was my whole entire life as a child. It started to get to a point where it got really pretty serious and I kind of had to pick between gymnastics or school and normal life, and my parents kind of convinced me to quit and leave that behind. So I ended up leaving that. Then I ended up getting into cheerleading. I did cheerleading in middle school, in high school, and then my first job was actually as a coach. So I used to coach gymnastics and cheerleading as well. So I did all of that stuff for a while and then kind of got out of the cheer world, started working, college, all that. And then I got into salsa actually by accident because I randomly needed 2 credits when I was in college at ASU. I just needed 2 more credits one semester.
Literally everybody.
Literally everybody. I know. I'm speaking the story of 1,000 souls right now. I'm not unique here. But yeah, so I Googled what is the easiest class at ASU. And people were like, okay, I either take a yoga class or take a dance class. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I would love to take a dance class. That actually sounds fun because, I love cheer and gymnastics. It's all very related to dance. And I was like, okay, I want to do swing. I'm going to learn how to do swing. And so I looked and there was no swing classes available. But then I saw that there was Latin Salsa 1. And I was like, oh, well, that seems close to swing. Maybe more fun, more spicy. Sure, I'll try that. And that was literally how I got into salsa. So again, shout out to David because I actually was his student first before we were ever business partners. So I learned pretty much most of what I know salsa-wise. I learned from him, so big shout out, like always.
That's crazy.
Again, I'm telling the story of 1,000 souls right now.
No, because
I'm not the only one who did that.
I think that's kind of the same thing with us. I took his class literally just because, different story, but basically the same thing. It's just
basically the same.
It's just homie asked me to come in, and then I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll go in. And then I just went through, and then I landed in Que Candela, and then the rest kind of just here we are now.
Well, and then I met you at ASU in the I forget if it was Salsa 3 class or I took the class. I took them so many times. I took Salsa 2 a million times, Salsa 3 a million times. I forget which one. But
I remember seeing you around.
That's when we met.
I think I was more of a beginner, and you were
maybe
Salsa 2, Salsa 3.
I honestly I forget. I did them so many times, dude. Kept coming back after I graduated too. I just pop in and do a couple classes randomly and be like, "What's up, guys? I'm here to dance more."
Yeah.
So that was, let's see, I think it was 2015 that I started all of that.
You took your first class?
Not too long ago, really, yeah.
Make it sound like it's
Well,
in the
sort
2000s. Wait,
Yeah.
so then at that time, what was available like for you to go dance with? 'Cause I'm guessing you were.
Oh, like to go out social
Yeah,
dancing?
to go out social dancing.
Well, at first I didn't go out social dancing.
That was
I
just pure training?
Yeah, that was like early days of ASU salsa socials. Like it was barely starting. Like David was just starting to like put together these socials like a couple semesters before, and he like just started doing them in APMA. That was like when I started. Shout out APMA. The hub, yeah. And yeah, I would just kind of like I went to one of those for the first time. Was like my first ever social, and I think there was like 10 people there. Like it was not a big thing yet. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, oh my gosh, I was so nervous, blah, blah, blah. So for a while, I didn't really go out and social dance at all. I just kind of did that. And then I would say that probably like the most memorable, like most consistent place that I would start to go out social dancing was before there was Latin Night at the Duce on Thursdays, there was Bachata Addiction on Thursdays at DeSoto. Everybody used to hit DeSoto on Thursdays, and then sadly, DeSoto ended up closing, which is why that event stopped happening. But yeah, I used to go pretty religious. So I would say that's probably where like I really started like social dancing the most, like when I actually started to go out beyond just ASU. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, we actually talked to
Jose San.
We talked about how DeSoto was really like the spot to go to.
It was the spot. Yeah, it was so fun.
When did it close down?
Obviously, like their events are still the spot, but it's not at DeSoto anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when did DeSoto close down, or when did that happen then?
I actually okay, so I'm timeline-wise, because what happened was DeSoto closed its doors, but so Bachata Addiction, they had to stop doing that event. So there was nothing on Thursdays. There was like this void for a while, and then that's actually like right when we started doing Latin Night at the Duce. That's when we started it. So that was in summer of 2017. So I'm not sure if DeSoto closed down earlier that year or if it was like late 2016. I can't remember exactly. Somebody can
Fact check it. Yeah.
But yeah, that void was there, and then that's kind of when Latin Night at the Duce coincidentally started on Thursdays as well. And I can tell that story of how it started. Maybe that's a good segue. But
Yeah, we can actually.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Should I do it? Should I launch into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Sure. So
let's see. Well, I guess if I have to tell that story, then we have to rewind to
the Latin Soul Festival at ASU.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Where it really started actually for me.
Can you let people know in case they don't know
what is Latin Soul?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. What is Latin Soul? So it's a free Latin dance festival at ASU. It's part of the Soul Motion project. So underneath that umbrella, there's Latin Soul, which is salsa, bachata, all of those things that we love. And then the other aspect or the other branch of the Soul Motion project is urban soul. So that's more like hip hop, b-boying, breaking, all of those types of styles. And yeah, so Latin Soul was something that was already getting started in motion through School of Film, Dance, and Theater at ASU at that time. And I think David had just been brought on as the faculty for that because he was really starting to like kick off the whole like Latin salsa program at ASU. And obviously all of his students were loving it. And so I think he got brought in on that. And he was looking for student volunteers to help with stuff. And I just kind of approached because I was doing my design undergrad degree at the time, and I was like, hey, like you guys need flyers, like you need any branding, like I can help with stuff, like I can help with like the marketing and the flyers and whatever else you might need. And he was like, yes, like that's exactly what we need actually, and like we need a website, blah, blah, blah. So I got involved, I started doing all of that. There's a couple other volunteers on the team as well, but yeah, it started with me just kind of being like, yeah, I'll make a flyer, and then by the end of it, it just had been like this huge project, and I was just kind of like ended up really like producing like most of it and like doing a lot of work on that together with David and some other volunteers as well. And it went off really well. So as far as I know, I think it was David who told me this. As far as I know, I believe at the time it was the first of its kind, like free for like student-based Latin Congress or festival, whatever you want to call it, happening on a college campus in the U.S. I don't know if that's the case anymore because I know it's starting to spread more now and become more popular. And David's trying to like share, his pedagogical wisdom with others at other schools and spread that. But yeah, I think at the time it was the first one. So it's free for students. Other parts of the community are welcomed as well. It's really just like a space for students to like learn and grow and experience dance styles and experience social dancing, get to be in a festival environment, not have to pay. It takes place at ASU. It's just an incredible event. So I've passed the torch on, now that I'm not in school anymore, and there's been like, several more student producers that have come after me. Many/most, or maybe even all of which are female, by the way. Fun fact.
Okay.
Fun fact. So that's ASU. That's
Who's
ASU
that,
Latin
though?
Soul. Like I know.
Sochi was one of them, right?
Yeah. Sochi. Well, hold on. Was she actually producing Latin Soul? I think she was one year. I know Meredith Grula was in charge of doing that one year or a couple years. I know Elizabeth Ortega was involved for a while. Gosh, I'm probably missing people. Like I'm missing a lot of people. Like I'm skimming over a lot. There's a lot of people who have contributed to Latin Soul over the years. But so that's kind of how I like got into helping produce events and getting into like that side of Latin dancing and not just going out social dancing myself. Anyway, so fast forward, I graduated now. It was later that summer, and I was like trying to decide if I should do my master's and blah, blah, blah. I get a call from David one day, and he's like, hey, there's this really cool venue in downtown Phoenix. They're called the Duce. They're looking to start up a Latin night because they have a swing night that's been pretty successful for several years. They want to do a Latin night. Somehow they reached out to me, they got in touch with me, and I need someone to help me produce it. Like, you did all this work on Latin Soul. Do you want to come in and like we can partner up and do create a Latin night at this place called the Duce? And I was like, absolutely. Like, there's a hole in my heart now that Latin Soul is over and I've graduated, let's do it. So we went, we toured the venue, and we were like, this place is dope. Like, this has to happen. And the owners, Steve and Andy, they were like, hey, yeah, we really want to fill our Thursday nights because Wednesday nights is swing night. And we're thinking Thursday is perfect for a Latin night. And we were like, oh, there was a Thursday night social at DeSoto, but that just closed down. So absolutely, we can do it. And that's basically how we started. And now we've been going ever since then. Minus we had to be shut down for a little while during the pandemic, sadly. But then as soon as we were legally allowed to, we brought it right back. So yeah, that's the origin story, really. Latin Night at the Duce.
And what year was that then?
2017. Yeah, summer of 2017.
So it hasn't even been a decade, right? Damn.
It's been 6 years.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy. Because I know like when people come in for QC's Oasis, like almost every artist that goes in is like, oh, like, are you guys going to the Duce? Are you guys going to the Duce? Or they know the Duce and Mijanas, because Mijanas has been around forever.
Yeah. And shout out Mijanas. I used to dance there a lot as well.
Yeah. So, but those are like the few that they know, that like it's the Duce, Mijanas, and Bachata Addictions on. No wait, Saturdays. What's Saturdays? No, nothing on Saturdays.
A lot of people have various things going on.
Right. It depends on the Saturday, right? Or I think it's Sunday. Sundays is when I have.
Elks Lodge. Oh my gosh, how did I not mention that earlier when I was saying like where I used to go dance all the time? Tuesday nights at Elks Lodge with Larry?
With Lawrence. Yeah.
With Mambo Exquisite. At the time, it was Mambo Exquisite.
Right.
Is it bad in my heart? I still think of them as Mambo Exquisite. Sorry.
Yeah.
But no. Tuesdays, man, I used to go there all the time on Tuesdays. That was so fun. And I remember one day Pedro Gonzalez, he came up and asked me to dance, and I was like, oh my God, like Pedro's so good. He wants to dance with me, and like now he teaches for us at the Duce all the time. Like, yeah, oh man, good memories there. I used to do that all the time.
It's dope.
I used to go too.
You did, yeah. Elks Lodge. There was like a group of us ASU who used to kind of storm like pretty frequently.
Yeah.
We'd storm it on Tuesdays.
I think it's you said you had a very similar experience to many people. You joined dance, and I think it's crazy how just through that, just showing up to this class, you got this opportunity to grow the scene really.
I guess so.
With Latin Soul and at the Duce, because we as like social dancers, like the venues are super important. Like having those social dancers.
You gotta have somewhere to go dance.
Yeah. The Duce, I think, is like one of the perfect spots as far as like the space to dance in, because there's actually space. Unlike other venues that sometimes it's hard. Well, actually, no, Bachata Addiction.
Like the floor's not good. Or
right, but it's mostly the space, because like there was a couple of people that want to do it like at restaurants or bars, and it's like it's small, and it kind of like it limits you like on you gotta kind of dance tight. And it's still like, what's it called? Que Candela does it at Barcoa, and like it's really cool. Like I enjoy dancing there, but obviously it's a different experience when it's like I have, you know, so far to like dance in between, you know, in between four walls versus at the Duce where it's like it's much bigger, and you know you have the area where the dancing.
There's like that overflow area too. Like when we get really packed, people just start kind of like dancing in like those like off like side zones. Like there's
Next
a
to
lot
the
of little
ring,
pockets
yeah.
that you can kind of just like move into if the regular floor gets too packed, you know?
Yeah, no, I see people dancing around the boxing ring, and it's just the awkwardest thing.
You ever danced in the boxing ring?
No, that's people do.
I mean, it's happened. I've danced in the boxing ring before.
No, I haven't been to Duce in a while, to be honest. Yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, but
It was a spot. It was a spot. Honestly, it's still like for me. I love going there. It's just that's when I train too. So it's like I get tired, but I would always go. I was gonna ask. So like the Duce. So they run. Do they still have the swing events on Wednesdays? They still do. Okay.
Yeah, they still wait. Although, hold on, I always get confused because with the pandemic, they had to kind of switch back and forth. Like they were doing Tuesdays and then Wednesdays again. Yeah, and now I'm always forgetting which one it's really on. Sorry, guys.
no, it's all good. It's all good.
There's also tons of other really cool events happening at the Duce all the time. Like they do different theme nights, different stuff for holidays, watch parties, burlesque. Duce is poppin'. Like
They do a bunch of shit.
I was gonna because there's also the issue with a lot of venues that they don't have events. Yeah.
You know, keep on going. That's exactly what I was gonna go into right now. But
Okay.
They don't have any social dancing events. A lot of the people that we talk to, they say that there's an issue in terms of like making, but like the restaurants or the venues need to make a certain amount of money, for example, for that night.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting, at least from your experience and what you've seen. I know the owners are a little bit like there's a reason why they make these events. So like, have you seen the kind of like what's the why do you think the Duce is going so heavily into this kind of like leaning towards events, and even at the risk of like what the venue say, like there's not many short-term like gains in terms of like making money that night.
mainly the alcohol too, because I know that's one of the things. Like when you go to bars, like that's what we heard.
They're making money selling the things.
Making a quota basically.
Yeah, well, okay, I do have to say that this is just like what I know. Right. Obviously, you could like speak with, Jake, the managing owner of the Duce and whatnot, and they could give you a lot more perspective, you know, in terms of like how they actually run their business. But obviously, I work really closely with them and have for 6 years now, so I feel like I have a pretty good idea.
Right.
I think the Duce strikes a pretty good balance because they do a lot of, they rent out the space for corporate parties, weddings, private parties, private events. I mean, they always are renting out the space to different things like that. And so I know they do make a ton of revenue that way, and that really helps with, you know, just their operational costs and like allowing them to then bring cultural events like the swing night or the Latin night that we do, and various different, like sometimes they do fundraisers and different charity things as well. So the fact that they have that like event venue type of business model really helps. And that's also, by the way, if you're ever wondering like, why are we randomly canceled on some Thursdays? That's why. It's because they will have booked like a massive corporate party that some company booked out like the entire venue. And that's how they like make their money so they can sustain and keep going. And so that's why occasionally we'll be canceled here and there on a Thursday if they have to accept a reservation like that, because at the end of the day, like I said, that's how they make their money. And then they also do hosted events that they produce themselves, like the burlesque nights, and they also have, you know, live music, and they have a variety of different things.
They do a bunch of stuff.
So they also, you know, can charge a ticket fee to that as well. Although I do have to say, Latin Night at the Duce has really grown and become quite successful, I think, personally over the years. And so, you know, they do make money off of our event. It's not just like a charity case, although I know that like when they started it, their goal was that they wanted to like increase, like they wanted to have like these cultural nights to like bring community. So that's obviously the focus, but you know, they are making money off of Latin Night, and that's how I like it. You know, because like I want to bring them business, and that's always been part of the reason, like part of what I have in my mind when I'm marketing the night too, like for the salsa community, but then also for them too, because their Thursdays, there used to be nothing happening ever there on a Thursday, and now there's hundreds of people there. They're buying drinks. You know, obviously we pay them to rent the space from them as well. So yeah, it's like a win, 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 win. Like the community wins, we win, they win, everybody wins. Yeah. That's my take on it, I think.
Has the Duce ever had like any struggles, like, or not the Duce, but Latin night at the Duce? Have they ever had any struggles? You know, like with either with the venue or just with you know, just in general, like struggles like that you guys have gone through, or do you think has it been pretty consistent? Like it's always been just growing?
Well, definitely the biggest struggle was the pandemic, obviously,
Right.
because everything was shut down. And like, oh man, for like a week or two, we like tried to bring like a virtual Latin night just because people were like, are you guys gonna do anything? Like, what, like, oh my God, we're so sad, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, okay, like we'll try to do kind of like a virtual thing, but it's just not really possible. So yeah, unfortunately the pandemic really sucked.
Yeah, the first.
I would say that was probably the worst. That was probably the worst thing. But in terms of like other struggles that we've had, I would say, I don't know. Maybe some other struggles would possibly be just. Sometimes there would just be, you know, people who show up and they just don't understand like what is the purpose of like this community space, and they're there to get absolutely trashed, you know, be really questionable with the women there, like just try to be a pickup artist all night, just not really have a respect for the dance, like not there for the right reason. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just acting a fool, trying to get in fights with people. Every so often, well, you know, you get any group of people together and every so often there's gonna be somebody like that who decides that they're gonna come in and, you know, not be respectful, basically. So that's definitely a challenge, but we kind of have like a zero tolerance policy for that. Like if you're coming in and that's what you're doing, like, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
Not coming back again. Yeah.
Did you want to? We should go into that. Just what are your guys' guidelines in terms of that?
Yeah, for etiquette and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also
Good
have,
question.
like, you've given like a class on social etiquette, and you're kind of doing it in the future too.
I have, yeah.
It's a big thing. So can you talk about that
Sure.
topic a little more?
It is a big topic. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, with the etiquette class, I did the first one earlier this year. I think I'm gonna probably put together another one this fall and just kind of do them like maybe a couple times a year, just rolling. And with the etiquette class, my goal is just to like speak more about that side of things. Not just like the negative stuff too. Right. Like obviously like a lot of what I go into is like, hey, like this is what it is to be respectful when you're dancing with someone. Versus this is harassment. Like, you know, what is that like? Or like how to report something. We have a reporting form now. That's in the link of our Instagram bio, by the way. So if you ever like experience like an unwelcome incident or see something like that at our event, you can report that anonymously or not anonymously on our reporting form, and I'll get that. So we take action on that stuff, and that's part of the reason that I wanted to put together the etiquette classes that I do. But then the other reason too is just like the more fun, like happy part of it, which I think everybody always wants to know tips, I think, for like how to approach like asking people to dance. What about saying no if you don't want to dance with somebody, like how to not be rude or come off like this or like that. But still have boundaries, you know, if you're a leader, how to have followers really enjoy dancing with you, or if you're a follower, vice versa, like all that type of stuff I get into as well. And then also how to be an advocate, like if you're out dancing and you notice that there's somebody new and like maybe they're, I don't know, let's just say they're being like real rough and tumble with like some follows arms, and like people are like coming off the dance floor going, oh my God, like ouch, you know, and you're like, oh, should I like say something? Like, can I advocate like for the etiquette here? Like, so I kind of get into like how to be an advocate as well. So that's the goal with those classes, just because I feel like as Latin Night continues to grow, it gets more and more popular. We have more people come in, new people, like the community is always recycling and changing, like people coming in, people coming out. And those of us who have gone through David's program at ASU, or a different like structured style of like training program, for example, like with Kay Candela, like you were saying, or yeah, any of those, or you know, you have like a training mentor, then you get a lot of that and you understand. But if you're just kind of like plopped into that environment and you're used to being out in the club scene, like sometimes there can be that disconnect. So that's where I want to just spread more information about how to be a social dancer with excellent etiquette, because
Onboarding social dance.
Literally.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important. It's really cool because I think it's one of those things that we've had conversations with other people. Actually, we might have a an episode with
Coming up soon.
coming up soon with some follows that we talked about. Literally that the kind of like the more like the ugly part of like the what's it called of just social dancing when it comes to like how women feel when like you kind of have to be there and you kind of can't you know that you can't trust anybody and you kind of just gotta hope that like everything ends well. So yeah, I think it's a really important topic as far as how etiquette is done, how people should be treating others, and I see other people like when they're dancing and they like some leads that just be going at it and it's like, dude, come on. Like
that's one of the tips that I have. I'm like, hey, like if you are dancing with a really new, really inexperienced follow who's like, oh, like, can you help teach me? Like, I'm just learning, or like, you can just tell because you're dancing with them that they're really new. Why are you gonna go and try to give her 5 spins in a row? Like she's just gonna feel bad about herself because she's gonna be wobbling all over the place and like, man, I suck at dance. Like I see these other girls doing 1,000,000 spins and I can't do it. I can't keep up. So she's gonna be feeling bad about herself. Like, do you really want to make your follow feel like bad about themselves while you're dancing with them? Like, not really. Number 2, like, what if they get hurt? I don't know. So that's one of the things that I get into is that exact point. That's just one of many. Like, there's so many little things like that could be brought up.
We had a guy that he interviewed about how like a lot of times like leads or even I guess follows in a way leads usually don't meet their follows to their level. They expect them to be up to their level, and it's like why would you do that? If you know that like you're dancing with a beginner, it's like you have to understand that. So, but yeah, no, I think it's really important, the social etiquette and all that, because sometimes you don't know. And then for leads especially, like asking somebody to like dance is like super intimidating, because I remember when I first started like dancing, I was like, so like do we just go up to them and like how does this whole thing work? Like is there like some signal that they give you, or like what's up?
And then you're like overthinking everything.
And you end up not dancing with anybody.
Oh man, yep. Dude, the amount of times that leads have told me that same story / that also like, I'm not a very good lead, but I can lead like a little bit, and so sometimes I'll go like as a lead and I'm like, oh God, no, I can't ask them to dance, I'm too bad. Like
it's a whole struggle.
It's a struggle. And that's another point that I get into with the class as well, is like just tips on asking people to dance and ways to do it that you're gonna have more success with versus not. For example, one thing that is a pet peeve for me, and I do know that other follows have this pet peeve as well, although I'm not sure if necessarily everyone agrees, but for me, I really think it's a little bit rude when some leads will approach you for a dance, and instead of asking you if you want to dance, they'll simply just grab you and like pull you onto the dance floor. And I'm like, now here's the thing, like if we're good friends and we dance all the time, like if you come up and you just give me your hand and then I start reaching for it and then you just go, like that's fine, because like we know each other and like we've danced together so many times and blah blah blah, right? But like if you're someone I've never danced with before, like think about this like out of context. Like imagine like you're anywhere and out somewhere and you just walk up to a person, grab their hand and just start taking them to a different location. You don't speak any words to them. You don't know this person. I don't know. To me, that's like real presumptive. Like, what if I didn't want to dance with you? Shouldn't you at least give me the opportunity to say no? I probably won't, but shouldn't you at least ask me? So yeah, for me, that's like a massive pet peeve. Like, and I know other follows have that pet peeve as well. It seems like it should be obvious, I feel, but then again, maybe not.
There's a lot of I feel there's a lot of guys that are unaware of just a lot of things. I feel like I don't know. I'll just speak for the guy.
Well, then there's the flip side too, because that's like that's very presumptive, right? Like you're just assuming that I'm down to dance with you without ever exchanging a word with me. Then that's the flip side of it, is like sometimes leads are like really quite afraid and like intimidated to ask you to dance, and I don't really think that that's like the right way either. It's like you can just walk up to somebody and ask them, and it doesn't matter if you're asking someone who's like, I guess, above your level or has been dancing for longer, or maybe they're like a teacher or a professional and you're not. Like, you can still ask that person to dance. To be honest, sometimes I feel quite sad because I'll be like standing, making myself available for anyone new who wants to like ask me to dance or whatever. Like I'm literally just chilling there at Latin night and I'm not really talking with anyone. I'm just kind of like watching the dance floor, like just chilling, like having my drink, and I'll feel like nobody really wants to ask me to dance, and then I'll go ask somebody, and they'll be like, oh yeah, like I wanted to dance with you, but like I just didn't want to ask you because I felt too like weird, or I felt intimidated because like you're too good or something. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not like that good, and second of all, like I would prefer that you just come ask me. Like, it's okay. Like, I want to dance with people. That's why I do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's also the flip side where I think sometimes people, they really get in their own head and they're like, I'm not at that high of a level. Like, I can't dance with, I can't go ask people. Like, everyone will like, think I suck, you know, or like they'll start dancing with you and people frequently immediately start apologizing to me for how bad they are, like within seconds of us beginning to dance. And I'm like, you do not need to apologize. Like, everybody starts as a beginner. Like, you don't need to apologize for dancing with me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to have a good time, same as you are. Like, it's okay if we just do basics. Like, I'm not gonna judge you and think that like, you suck so bad. Like, I don't know. I feel people really like think that that's how it's gonna be, and they get really nervous about it. So I don't think that's the right way either. You know, you gotta find like a happy medium between like being like a little cocky and presumptive and thinking you're the fucking shit all the time, versus being so down on yourself. I suck. No one ever wants to dance with me, and you're apologizing to every follow that you dance with. Like, there's gotta be like a middle ground. I feel. You know what I mean?
So, I would say for the guy that's shy. I mean, I think something that helped me out was like almost like over-explaining myself before, like letting the follow know, hey, would you like to dance? And if they say yes, I'll be like, well, just so you know, like I'm pretty new, just practicing.
Yeah, you
like,
can always say that. Like, if you're a little nervous.
But
Yeah.
Just so like I think it takes the weight off me, I guess. Like if I'm shy, like I'm not gonna go in there and like there's always this failure, this like idea of like I'm gonna fail expectations, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think putting it out there and being like, hey, just so you know, I'm like, and then
Like,
follows
hey, I'm
coming
new.
too.
Like, I just started
Follow-
dancing.
yeah.
I'll be like, really? That's so great. Like, when did you start? Like, have you been here before? Like,
Right.
this is so exciting. Welcome
Yeah,
to Latin Night of the Deuce.
That's a
Like,
great thing. Like,
that's a great thing. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, if you feel a little nervous, just tell people you're new, and they'll probably be like, oh my God, really? Well, have you met so-and-so? Like, have you been here? Did you know about this event? Like, good way to meet friends, actually.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
I know, because at the Duce, I know there's a lot of, it's a great place that, like, a lot of people that aren't dancers, per se, go and want to learn.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
just come and hang out, too. That's the other thing. Sometimes people are like, I'll invite them to Latin Night, or they'll be like, well, I'm not much of a dancer or whatever. And I'm like, well, like, you don't actually, like, have to be. There's actually a lot of people who come to Latin Night and they just watch people dance, they hang out, they get a nice cocktail, like, listen to the music. Like, you don't necessarily have to dance, although I guarantee you if you come and do that, you're gonna be like, shit, time to start dancing. Because you'll get the bug, I know you will.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that's also what I really like about Latin Night. That's personally the philosophy that like I feel me and David have always tried to bring like to the event ever since first starting it, is that like it's like a place that we can just have fun. Like, there doesn't need to be expectations, or like you don't need to be a professional dancer, or maybe like you are a professional dancer, because we do frequently have professional dancers come dance as well. You know, or anybody in between. Like, doesn't matter if you want to lead, follow, both, not dance at all. You know, it doesn't matter if you're Latin, if you're not Latin, if you speak Spanish, if you don't speak Spanish. Like, just open to everybody. Like, if you're from this friend group, that team, train with this person, that person, like, everybody just come dance at the Duce, really. I think that's the ethos that Dave and I always try to inject into it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's successful.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are doing a great job. It's I think the Duce has always been like a place that I see familiar faces, or like I meet new people, and it's
just have fun. That's the whole point.
Yeah, nothing too like serious or nothing too like, you know, it's for fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Express
Think you guys
yourself.
also-
Have fun.
Sorry.
No. What?
I think you guys also do a really good job of bringing like ASU students. You guys, I know for a while, you guys changed it from 18 to 21, right?
We had to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. We used to do, so the Duce, because of the way that they operate like legally, after 9 p.m. it legally becomes a bar. That's just like to do with their liquor license and everything. So the lesson starts at 8. So we used to have it to where all ages were welcome at the lesson, and then
just not from 9 o'clock onwards. And we had like a different color wristband, and we would have security kind of like helping us keep track of things. But then unfortunately, unfortunately, there are people who just really try to find a way to skirt the rules at every opportunity, and like, yeah. So we just had some.
I was
like,
one of them.
Yeah. I was gonna try to hear that. But yeah, no. So there, yeah.
I'm
it
21
just got a
now, so
little
it's all
bit-
good. It's all good. Don't
Once
matter
we
now.
started growing so much, it got like a little bit too much where we just couldn't keep track of that, and the Duce was just worried about their liquor license, and we just can't have underage people coming and getting drunk, and then like maybe something happens, and then the Duce loses their liquor license, and now we're liable for something. So unfortunately, yeah, the Duce had to make that call that we were just gonna change the whole night to be 21 and up. So it's really sad, but I did implement like a fun little thing because I felt bad for all the under 21 dancers when we had to do that. So fun fact, if anybody didn't know, if you come to Latin Night at the Duce within 1 week of your 21st birthday, well, like obviously you have to already be 21, like 21 after your 21st birthday or like the following week after, you'll get in for free as a birthday present. So.
Okay. So you get
Happy
1 week free.
21st, come celebrate your 21st birthday at Latin Night at the Duce. We will not charge you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So if your birthday's on Thursday, you get 2 nights, 2 weeks.
Technically, you
2
could,
weeks.
yeah, like if your birthday was that Thursday.
You get
and
that day off.
No, I guess if it was that Wednesday, right? Yeah, if your birthday was that Wednesday, you just turned 21, then you came on Thursday to Latin Night, now you're 21, and then you came the next week, technically that's still within a week of your birthday. So you could get 2.
There you go.
Yeah, I see
All
what you're
right.
saying.
All the tips out here.
It's like really trying to think about it. I'm like, here's how to game the system.
David calls her after, why are you giving out free tips?
Okay, I give out so many free entries and stuff all the time though. Like we always do like giveaways like in the comments of our Instagram. We do giveaways in our text club. I don't know if y'all know about the text club? I'm always giving away free stuff.
Say all the info.
480-530-5136, baby. Just send a text. Yep, you can text anything. There's not like a keyword, but if you don't know what to text, you can just text the word dance. But it's me who runs that. So you just join the text club, and I send out text reminders about like when we're canceled, when we're not, what lessons happening, who's teaching, special events coming up. Especially if you're not on social media. That's like the main reason I created it, because some people were saying that they deleted their social media. But then also it's just a good way to connect, because I also, I ask for people's opinions in there. Like I have a focus group segment inside of there where I ask like, hey, like what do you guys think about X, Y, or Z? Like when I'm planning new stuff. And then I give away a ton of free stuff as well in there. So that's like our, it's like a little
secret.
VIP club inside of there.
Yeah.
Okay, shameless plug. Shameless
Yeah.
plug is now over.
Also, let them know what's the Instagram for Latin.
Oh yeah, it's literally just Latin Night at the Duce, all one word. So just Latin Night at the Duce. You can also follow the Duce as well. That's more of like for their entire venue. Yeah, you can follow them, but ours is Latin Night at the Duce, all one word on Instagram, also on Facebook. And then I always say we have a green profile photo, so if you see that, then you'll know what it is.
And can people find when they go to Instagram at Latin Night at the Duce? Like, it's the calendar, it's like events, like
Yeah.
what else are you guys putting in there?
Yeah, like are you talking about on our Instagram?
Yeah, like why should people go and
Yeah, that's where I also post, not just in the text club, but also on our social media. Yeah, calendar of monthly events, like the September calendar is up right now. I'll post the October one soon. Just so, usually I say like, hey, save this post, like, or screenshot it or whatever so you remember what's happening for the whole month. I post, features on like different guest instructors that we might be having or guest DJs, all the flyers for like our special events, beautiful photos that Carla takes and sometimes other photographers as well. Shout out Carla, her photography is amazing. Yeah, just sometimes I post, I like to post little reels as well. Sometimes like I'll do snippets of like what was taught in the lesson that Thursday. Sometimes I like to do that. And then Jose, when we were talking before the podcast, before we hit record, you just gave me the idea of doing like little etiquette tips on reels. So maybe I'll start doing that too.
Yeah.
I think that's a smart idea.
People would appreciate it.
I think they would. Yeah, you gave me that idea. So
I might do that as well.
Yeah, so check it out, guys. Give them a follow, and you'll know everything about the schedule and everything that's going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the giveaways. Like I give away free stuff on
Oh,
our
yeah, get some
Insta.
free stuff, guys. Like, yeah.
Yeah, every so often I'll just be like, hey, like comment, just tag people, and like I think I did that last week actually.
Yeah, I know you're pretty. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You guys did that. I know you gave out like cocktails and. Like,
Yeah, we give out cocktails sometimes.
Yeah. So, did you have any more questions?
No, I just noticed that on the Land Night Instagram that you guys had the Blending Moves Festival this past weekend,
It
right?
was yesterday, actually. It was just there yesterday.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you guys do you want to give a plug to that?
Yeah,
'Cause I know that,
I will definitely give a plug to Blending the Moves. Yeah, shout out to Blending the Moves Festival. It's a new festival that was created by Sochi and Savannah and a couple others as well. I remember actually a second ago I just name dropped Sochi again because she also worked on Latin Soul Festival for a while there too while a student at ASU. But yeah, now she's producing Blending the Moves Festival with a couple of other gals. Really cool. The idea behind Blending the Moves is that it's like all styles, mix of styles, not just Latin. So I know that they had like a crump workshop. They had like like breaking bachata workshop. I think like blending bachata and breaking, I think. I could be getting that wrong. That sounded really cool. I had my booth going, so I couldn't take any of the workshops, but what other? I know there was like a salsa on 2 workshop. There's pop-up performances, like some traditional Indian dance, variety of different performances, different vendors. Yeah, really cool. That actually just happened yesterday. So Latin Night at the Duce was a sponsor. Yeah, so we sponsored them for the festival. And if there's any other dance companies, by the way, or dance brands, or just like small businesses that are local, anything like that, if you guys want to sponsor Blending the Moves for next year, I know they would really appreciate it. So it doesn't cost that much to be a sponsor, and it helps you with your promo too. So yeah, shout out Blending the Moves.
Breaking Pachanga. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, Breaking Pachanga, is that what it was?
Because
Oh,
they
why
had
did I say
Baile
bachata?
Folklorico,
Yeah.
Salsa with
Folklorico.
Xochitl, Crump Fundamentals, Breaking Pachanga.
Dude, I walked in on the crump class, and I was like, oh, snap.
What is
looks
crump?
so
Sorry.
cool. What is crump?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I am not the one to ask that question.
Okay.
I am no hip-hop scholar.
Listen, I will not even just Google it. I'm not going to attempt to like
Produce a definition of what is crump. I am not educated enough.
All right, we'll leave it for another pod.
Yeah, you need to ask somebody else about that. So you need to
all
ask
good.
a crump dancer, I think.
That's dope. What's your guys' goal for the Duce? You know, like, and you guys have done so much for the community here in Phoenix, but like, you know, what are your guys' goals, or what do you guys want for the future? What do you guys hope for?
Oh man, well, my goal for the future is that like it just keeps going. That's why I've really started to like build out our team and stuff. That way it's not just reliant upon like if I'm there or if David's there. That way, yeah, I've just tried to like build things out so that way it can always continue like no matter what's going on. Because I just like, I don't know, I don't want it to end. Like I just want it to continue to be like that spot that people know is always there and know is always dope, know is always fun. You can always meet up with people at the Duce. You can always go social dance at the Duce. Like that's what I want it to be. Like I want it to just continue for a long time into the future. I know sometimes people pop up like a social and then a couple months later it's gone again, or a year later it's not happening anymore, or like the venue wasn't consistent so it fell through. But like the Duce is super consistent. The Duce has always really been supportive of us continuing to grow. And so I know that like they're with us for the long haul, and I know that David and I are as well, and the rest of the team as well. Shout out Dilo, Carla, Elora, all those people, Pedro, Lauren, yeah. Shout out all those guys. My goal is to just keep it going, really. I would say that's the number one.
Cool.
Can you go into, I guess, like, what you get out of the Duce?
What do I get out of it?
Yeah.
Like as a dancer or as a
Dancer,
producer?
as a person,
or-
yeah, like-
You know what I mean? Like, kind of like,
That's a good question. I mean, so much. Where to even begin? Like, everything. I don't know. I consider it to be like my baby. Like, it's like my child. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt about Latin Soul Festival. And then I had to pass the torch on that, you know, once graduating and leaving because it's student-led, right? But Latin Night at the Duce, like, that's not ASU's, that's like mine and David's, you know, and our teams.
She's like,
I feel
mine. For
so,
above everybody
no,
else.
No, I
Mine.
feel like so protective about it. That's why I say like people come in with bad behavior and like you're gone because like I feel so protective over that space.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do I get out of it personally? Well, first of all, it's just my favorite place to go social dancing. I actually don't go out a whole lot these days in general anymore, but you will find me at Latin Night at the Duce. So yeah, I'm very biased, but it's my favorite place to go social dancing, of course. So there's just that, like all the things that I said that I like to bring it for everybody else, like I create it for me too. Like I create it to be the type of place that like I want to dance at. So I go dance there and I have a blast at my own event because it's exactly how I like it to be. So as a dancer, there's that. But then also just on like the event production side of things, I would say doing this like has been such a massive opportunity and has given me so much because it really got me into just like creating things and producing things and like helped me learn so much about business. I ended up doing my master's degree after I finished with design school, you know, when I was at ASU dancing with David and all of that. I ended up doing a master's degree in arts entrepreneurship. And that really helped me just like approach it like from the business angle. And I learned so much about that. I ended up working for an entertainment company. I worked there for several years because I decided that I needed to learn more about DJing and emceeing and event production for Latin Night because it just hit me one day. I was like up on the microphone talking and I was like, well, there's nobody else to talk, so like I had to talk, you know, on the mic. And David would always be like, "Here, Sam, like you say something," you know. And I would try to like have him do stuff at the beginning, but then you know he wouldn't be there some nights, and I'd be like, "Well, okay, I guess I'm just in the spotlight now, talking on the microphone. I guess I better learn how to do this better." Yeah. Or you know, like I would always be reliant on other people to like set up the audio equipment, and I realized I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm like, "Shit, I better learn." So I joined an entertainment company and I trained as a DJ. I did a 12-week DJ training course, got certified with that, started DJing for corporate parties, weddings, events, private stuff. Then same thing I did after that, an MC training course, 8-week MC training course with professional MCs of that company, became a certified MC there, MC'd a bunch of different corporate events, parties, weddings, all types of different things, wedding show at the convention center downtown Phoenix. Eventually ended up doing sales at that company as well. Me and my friend Leslie, by the end of it, we were running all the sales for the whole company. And that just like spurred me into like learning so much. I never would have done that at all if I hadn't done Latin Night because that's why I even started. I was like, man, I better learn how to be better at this so it can keep going and be successful. So it got me off on that whole route. And then I have my creative agency that I do full time now as well, where I help other creative entrepreneurs and self-managed artists and creators. I help them with their branding. And so just like all of those experiences that I've had, like all of it informs what I do now with Brandstorming Agency, where I help other creators with their stuff, you know? So that whole path, like that whole tangent of life, you know, that life just took me on, you know, none of it would have ever happened if I hadn't just been like, yo, David, like, do you need someone to make you flyers for Latin Soul? And then like gotten involved with that and then started producing Latin Night at the Duce. So for me, it's almost like informs my whole career path too. Like it like means so much to me. So I could go on about this for hours.
Right. No, I think as kudos to you and like it's really dope that like, you know, it's not like you just like or like, oh, like we're gonna have a Thursday night every night, just be here, and then but like you went above and beyond and just like trained yourself like, okay, well like I gotta know how to do like all the back end stuff. And
yeah, set up the lighting system, set up the audio, you know, troubleshoot when there's a problem, speak clearly on the microphone, the branding, the marketing, like there's so much, dude, there's so much. I'm
shouting us a lot, but there was another podcast that we did in the past. Ross from South Tandy Dance, he does the Urban Kids, he's kind of starting the Urban Kids community, but he mentioned in one of our podcasts, he's like, it's not enough to just like, you know, put up a flyer and like just, you know, be there every Thursday or be there. It's like you have to do more and like, you know, continue to like make it grow. And like, it's not enough if you really want to make a difference. Like it's not enough to just do one thing and just hope that it grows by itself without you developing either the event or yourself. And I think you know, it just goes to show that it's true. Like you went above and beyond and, you know, learn how to MC, how to do all that, because that means that when you're up there, it's not like you're just bullshitting people and like saying whatever you can to just kind of bring them back. It's like you know what you're doing, and I think that's really cool. And like I said, kudos to you. I think.
thank
I just
you.
I wanted to put that out there.
I'm taking notes right now because, like, I mean, I would love to have a community, have a little event space, you know what I mean, like that we created maybe in the future years down the line.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do
Yeah.
it for sure.
Yeah, but like, so like I said, like, I'm taking notes. It's like I'm listening to it. And I'm like, okay, so it's like you said, it's not just some let's do an event, and just have people come. Like you're doing it. It sounds like you're doing it because you love to do it, and you want the best for the people, and that's why you just keep growing and pushing yourself in a way, and then it seeps over into other aspects of your life.
Oh yeah, every aspect really. Yeah, I think that's the difference is like whether or where the intentionality is like behind it, because like you can just spin something up with a dance floor somewhere and be like, okay guys, like come out, and you can do, like, obviously anybody can do that, and people do that all the time, and obviously you can do house parties or this or that, like there's so many different things, right? But then like, yeah, if you're trying to create like a lasting, ongoing thing that is like more of a movement or like making more of a statement in terms of like, hey, like this is what the space is, this is what it's all about, this is what the community is, like cultivating more of a community, there's a lot of aspects, that and intentionality that goes into that for sure.
Can you go into what are some key points, since you have managed to create this, like I feel like it's one of the safest spaces in the
Do you? Good. I hope so.
Yeah, I feel like it is. And so can you go into kind of what are some key things that you need to do or have to create a safe space like the Duce?
Well, I'm glad that you think that we're one of the safest. I certainly hope so. Although there's only so much like I can personally do, like at a certain point. But yeah, that's always like that's definitely like a top focus always. What are some of the things that event organizers can do? Number one, I think, is whoever is organizing it or teaching it or leading it at the top, you need to understand that like you're always like being looked at as an example or like a template. Even if you don't want to be, it doesn't matter, you are. So you need to accept that. And that's something that I learned from David. Again, another shout out for David. They just keep coming. But yeah, he's always been like extremely conscious of that, and that's like where he teaches from. Down to micro decisions, like I know he and I have had conversations before where we're talking about like when he's teaching at the Duce, like he wears sneakers instead of professional dance shoes to bring himself down to a less intimidating level. So even things like that are intentional, So learning from David on a lot of that, yeah, it's just like whatever. If you're curating a space, even if you're not a professional dancer or even if you've only been dancing for a little bit, if you choose to put yourself in that position, then people will look at you as a template. So you need to understand that and figure out like what are your values of like cultivating a community, and then like demonstrate that and be that. Like whether it's being humble, like how David is with the shoes and all the rest of what he does, or whether it's having like a focus on inclusivity, which is like what I really like to focus on, and being a safe space for, like, for example, I think it was 2018 or 19? I can't remember. I don't know. One of those years in there, I just decided, I think it was like Pride Month or something, and I decided that we were just gonna like publicly post on our profile that we're a safe space for LGBTQ, and that that's just like how it is at the Duce. So you can just like state a fact like that, and then everybody will know, So that's one thing that you can do, is just like be that presence yourself and like speak about it and just decree stuff, like decree that like this is a safe space, or like decree that anybody who comes in and exhibits XYZ behaviors will immediately be thrown out. Whatever it is, like you can just decree those things, and you shouldn't just sit back and like wait for somebody else with a stronger presence to come in and make your event into what they think it should be. Like you should be the one placing that, I think, if you're gonna put yourself in the position of being a space creator. So I do try to do that as best I can. Obviously, security is a must. Like we have a security presence at the Duce, and it can be really difficult if you don't have a good security team or security presence. Like I think that's key, because especially if
it's a bar or there's alcohol involved, sometimes things will just escalate and people can get angry, or, you know, people will come in without good intentions, and you need to have security there to handle those situations for you. Especially like in my case, like, what, am I going to tackle somebody who's trying to throw hands? Like me personally, like, no, I need security for that. So that's definitely a big one. And then I also do know, like, with really large events, I spoke with Bibi, the producer of Reno Latin Dance Fest, about this once years back. And he let me know that at his large events, like Reno Latin Dance Fest and some others that he creates as well, I mean, he even has like plainclothes security. So sometimes people act different when they're being watched, you know, and as soon as security enters the room, like, everything's fine. And as soon as they turn the back, they're being a creep or something. So he even does like plainclothes security at his super, super large events. And I thought when he told me that was quite smart. So that's a cool tip. And then the most recent thing that we've implemented at Latin Night is having a reporting form. Like, I think I mentioned that a few minutes ago. The link is in our Instagram bio. If anyone ever, you know, needs to use that for any reason. And I think it's good to have an option to report anonymously, or an option to report with your information. So that way, for example, like, I can call somebody and follow up with them and be like, hey, okay, I read your thing, like, walk me through like what happened. Like, I can ask you more questions and like figure out if there's like a certain person in the community that I'm receiving a lot of different reports about. Like, that lets me know information about, even if I haven't seen something with my own two eyes, if I get 10 reports about an individual, something's going on. So having like a safe reporting system, I think, is really key, especially if you or your entire team are all men that is running the social. A woman who's had, like, for example, sexual harassment incident occur might not feel comfortable coming up to you and personally talking to you about that just because you're the organizer. Like, I think having a system in place really helps. That's why I created that, because I might not always be there on a night, or someone, like, a lot of people don't even know that, like, I'm the one that runs it. They think I'm just like a dancer there. They don't know to come up to me and like ask me about something that happened, you know? So that's our latest thing. And then, just also calling people out. Like, I call people out. Like if you see something happening on the dance floor at your event, or not on the dance floor, and it's not appropriate and it's not the type of environment that you want to cultivate for your space, you should go up to that person and you should say, hey, listen, man, like, can we like step aside and like have a little chat for a second? Like, I just saw XYZ, and like, I just want to let you know, like, I'm not trying to kick you out right now or anything, but I just want to let you know that, like, that's really not okay in this space. And like, re-educate people like in that type of way. I always start there first. And then if someone really is not getting the memo, then we ban them. But yeah, so those are the tips that I can think of off the top of my head if you're a space creator and you want to figure out how to like manage that type of stuff. Yeah, and shout out to Bibi from Reno Latin Dance Fest for the plainclothes security thing. I think that for really, really large events, that's actually quite a good idea. So.
No, I know a lot of things would be happening like that, like festivals, congresses.
Yeah, like if you're producing a massive festival or something, yeah.
Right. You mentioned the Reno Latin Dance Fest. Do you yourself go to a lot of congresses, or do you?
I don't anymore. No.
You don't anymore? Since when do you not go?
Really since the pandemic, since COVID, to be honest. I was going up until that point. Obviously, everything shut down over the pandemic, and then during that time frame, like, I just started focusing a lot on like other aspects of my life as well, and then things came back, but I just kind of felt like I needed a break from being like so involved like in every single way with like the Latin dance community, you know, because I had gotten so involved like so fast.
It happens.
It does happen. Everybody, it happens too, I think, honestly. But especially me, because then I started producing these events, and then people started seeing me as like a person. I don't know. You know what I mean? And then like all of a sudden I'm like going to all these events, and then like I'm on the teams, and then I'm like performing, and then I'm traveling, and I'm like doing stuff with Stilo, and I'm putting on like the special events for Latin Night, and going to Reno Latin Dance Fest, and doing this, that, and everything. So yeah, I just really felt the need to like pull back, and that's why I don't go out social dancing to a lot of other events quite so much anymore. Usually I just like kind of save my energy for Latin night at the Duce, showing up there. And then, you know, if one of my buddies has like a new thing that they're doing, I'll show up there and support. Or if it's like a really cool special event, I'll show up, you know, if I'm in town for it. I also travel a lot more these days as well. So sometimes I'm just not in town for different things, or I'm just not available to, you know, spend all of my travel budget on, on dance stuff. So yeah, I don't really go quite so much anymore. As I used to. But before the pandemic, yeah, I was going here and there for sure, and performing a little bit at different things, and just enjoying taking workshops and doing different stuff at congresses, yeah.
They're fun.
It's fun.
Go to them if you can.
Yeah,
But
although, you know, I do have to say, like, in full honesty as well, like, another big reason, like, besides just the pandemic and being busier with other life stuff, another big reason that I kind of stopped going to a lot of those as well is just, I don't know, I felt sometimes that there's just a lot of focus on like drinking culture and staying out really late, and it's just not that healthy sometimes. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like there is sometimes like unhealthy aspects to the salsa or bachata community in that way, where like you go to a congress, everybody's pre-gaming, taking shots up in the room, you go out social dancing, you know, you're dancing with people, maybe you're having more drinks, like maybe you're having too much to drink, to be honest, maybe you're not really making such good decisions anymore, or being at your best when you're dancing with people. You're staying out really, really late, waking up super early for the workshop the next morning. By the end of the weekend rolls around, like, you're hungover, you're freaking exhausted, you haven't really eaten that much good stuff because you're just grabbing like whatever in between workshops. And I was just like, man, like, I don't know, for me, like, I'm very focused on health and wellness, and that's not healthy or very, like, conducive to my well-being. So after a while of just kind of feeling like there's a lot of that at those festivals, and sometimes I'm just like, I need a break from that and like focus on like growing my life. You know, I'm not saying that like every festival is like that, or every person that goes to a festival is just there to get plastered. And that's not even what I was doing anyways. Like, I wouldn't just go to get plastered, but still, just there's so much of that energy. I kind of felt like I want to take a step away from that. So that's also another reason why I don't really go out and do so many things like that these days. Yeah, kind of like the less healthy side, I think, of the community in a way.
I was gonna. I actually had a conversation with somebody who frequents the congresses, and she said that there's kind of like this pressure, or I don't know, stigma or something, expectation that if you go, you should go to like all the festivals and you should stay up all night and
You do all the things, like every single workshop, dance with every single performer. Yeah.
Yeah, and she just said, you know, at one point I just realized I just need to take some time to myself.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do everything. I don't have.
It's
I
true.
can just pick like one workshop, and then I can just like,
Yeah.
you know, just take it slow. Because I know, at least for me, I would want to do everything in the beginning, but like now, like I'm at the point where I'm like, if we go to congresses, at least I just see myself more. Taking it slow, going to one or two. I love social dancing, so I could social dance all night, you know what I mean?
Me too, yeah.
But like, not having that pressure, you know, to
I think it's a matter of like balance, like finding balance. I think it's something that like sometimes people do struggle with, where you get really involved in the salsa or the bachata or whatever in that world, and then it like takes over your life, and that can be like a really good positive thing, or it can be like less positive, just depending on like how you work that in your life. Because I know for a lot of people it takes over their life, but that's so positive because like, you know, they were looking for something like that in their life, and they were looking for community and like a way to like apply themselves and like learn new things and like creative expression and like meeting new friends and community and cool events to go out to. And a lot of people, that really shifts their life for the better. But then also sometimes it can potentially go where you do maybe start to get like a little too wrapped up in it. Especially, I feel like I see, I don't know, sometimes people really like idolize like performers or instructors, and they get really wrapped up in like the who's who of this and that, and who's in and who's out, and like cliques and things like that. And like I said, staying up late, going drinking, spending money that you don't have to go to festivals that you really can't afford if you're not in that place to be able to afford it. So it can kind of like, yeah, it can kind of veer off track if you let it. I think you need to like be disciplined in like knowing like what are your boundaries for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
As a dancer, if you start to get really, really involved.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about there, but I know, like I relate to a lot of those things because, yeah, even the idealization of of the performers and things. Like it's kind of obvious sometimes. You just like it's like clicks. It's just like, oh, here's all the pros in one thing, and then like it's just them, and then like outside of that is everybody else. You know what I mean? It's just to create a community. I don't think it'd be like that. It'd be more like I want to. Like we're all dancers, and we should be connecting as dancers instead of it feeling kind of like high school, you know?
Yeah, or like clout chasing or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't do it, man. I don't know. Yeah, I can't do it when people get into just having a bit of an ego around dance. To me, that's not what it's for. Yeah. You said that you had a funny story of like meeting me.
Yeah, when we met, because I remember the first time when I first started dancing, the Duce was still available to 18-year-olds, 18 plus.
Okay,
So I was trying to go almost every Thursday. But then when you guys changed it to 21, I was like, crap, like I couldn't go anymore, and like I would have to kind of like, I would sneak around and like try to get in.
You're the person.
Yeah, I know
You're the people.
I know people that were way
referring
worse.
to.
Hold on. I know people that were way worse than me, just to put it out there. But
Listen, I just want to say that I don't personally blame people for trying to do that because I've also had my fair share of that type of thing when I was.
and I think,
it's fine. It's fine. We've all been there.
I think for the most part, it was just mostly like I just wanted to go dance. Like I just wanted to like get, because I knew from the beginning that it's like there's only so much that I can do training that doesn't help me. Training will not help me get better, like to just be able to dance. And I think
like social dancing.
Social dancing,
Yeah,
exactly.
you have to practice social dancing in order to learn to social dance.
You need to do social dancing in order to be better at social dancing, which sounds stupid. Whoa. But it's like, it was that. It was like at the time, because it was like right after the pandemic, and like there was almost all the other places were still like, oh, are we starting up? Are we not starting up? So it was kind of like weird. I remember even asking David about it. I was like, where are the spots that I can go to, given that I'm not 21, but I just want to go dance. And he's like, oh, well, the Duce is open. And then literally like 3 months, they stopped doing 18 and up. So I was like, crap. So then I kind of like, I stopped social dancing for a while. So I just only did training with Candela. But yeah, sorry. And when I was going during the 18 plus times, I danced with you. And I remember I didn't even know who you were. I just went because I was just like, all right, screw it. Like, I'll just dance with this girl. And like, I danced with you. And I remember being like, crap, like, this sucks. What you were saying, like, overthinking about like what's happening. And
I suck.
I'm like, fuck. And like, at one point I gave up and I was like, you know what? Like, I think I did like a turn and like it wasn't right. I was just like, all right, you know what? We're just gonna keep it to the basic. So we just did basic, but it just sucked so much. I was like, I bet she hates this so much. And then the song.
I guarantee you I didn't hate it. I guarantee you I didn't, just for the record.
Yeah, but it was.
Also for the record, I don't remember this dance.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I remember it though.
But I also dance with like a lot of people all the time that I'm like just meeting, so it's nothing personal.
No, I don't blame you. But it was so funny because I remember I was like, fuck, I was horrible. And then I'm like leaving because I think it was like the last dance. I'm leaving to the door and I just hear you start talking. I was like, is that the girl that I was dancing? And she's like, oh yeah, like she's like, you're like the organizer. I'm like, oh my God, like now the organizers know that I suck at dancing. So I'm like, I'm just gonna walk away. And I just went home and I was like, this is so
okay,
bad.
see, that's the mindset that I was like referring to earlier, where like I don't agree with that. I mean, I know it's hard not to.
Right.
I know it's like
hard,
easier said than done, right? But like speaking as the person on the other side of that interaction, I disagree with that mindset because it's like you're thinking to yourself, I suck, right? And then you're thinking, oh no, like she's the organizer or he's the instructor or they're the whatever. And now they know that I suck. Like, oh, and then you go home and cringe all night to yourself, beat yourself up. Like, I don't really think that's the right mindset because, for example, like we were saying earlier, let's just say that you had mentioned to me, like, oh, I'm new. Like, it's one of my first times here. Like, I'm just learning.
To that point, actually, I was gonna say because I feel like that's also hard because a lot of times I remember I tried to talk to you in that interaction, but it was like the music is so loud. It's like I can only say so much, and it's like unless you do it like right as soon as you ask, it's like it's very hard for me to like communicate.
Well, and you don't have to say something like that either. You don't have to qualify the dance ahead of time by putting out a disclaimer that you're not that good. Like, you certainly don't have to do that. That's just if it makes you feel more confident, more comfortable, right? But yeah, like for example, in that moment, like I guarantee you that although while I don't remember that exact dance, but I guarantee you, because this is always how it is when I dance with someone, and I obviously I can tell if they're new, if they're just trying to figure things out still with the basic or whatnot. I'm never thinking to myself, this motherfucker sucks. Why is he here? How dare he ask me to dance? I am never just PSA.
Right.
I maybe I can't speak for others, but I am never thinking that about a person, especially not at my event either. Too,
Right.
like you're saying, like, oh, the organizer of the event, or the teacher, the instructor, or the performer, they know that I suck. Like, I guarantee you that if that person has put themselves in that position as being somewhat of like a leader or like a guide or a space creator or an instructor or something, it's because they want to cultivate new people and bring them in and show, like, share the love of salsa or whichever dance style it is. That's why they're putting themselves in that position in the first place. So it's not like a shameful thing to be new, because we all started, and the reason that people like me are doing things like what I'm doing is because I remember how amazing it was when I first started, well, and how amazing it still is, but like the joy, you know, the glow of like newfound dance style love/obsession, and you just want to share that with other people, and that's why I'm always out telling people, spreading the gospel of Latin night at the Duce and salsa and bachata in general. So no one's, listen, I feel like if someone is thinking that about you, then that is a reflection upon them, not on you. Or if somebody turns you down for a dance in a really, really rude way, or like totally blows you off, or like says something negative like, oh, like you're such a shitty dancer, or I don't know, something like, if somebody is saying or thinking or doing those things, like that's a reflection on them judging others, probably because they think those thoughts about themselves. So yeah, I would say that you shouldn't take those types of comments to heart. If anybody has ever gotten a comment like that from somebody, yeah, I think most people are thinking like me, and they're just glad that you're new and that you're there and that you're learning and that you're getting into the scene. And I think it's a positive thing to be a new beginner. It's not a shameful thing.
I think it's really important to just talk about that. But no, it was just a funny experience. But like, obviously,
I had to go in with my whole TED talk.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's all good. No, but I think it's super important that whole like aspect of like, well, you know, it's kind of like it works out for this situation, right? Like, you know, we've had that interaction, and it's like looking back on it now, like knowing that you didn't have that aspect. Obviously, right now, like, doesn't.
I know, here we are just like talking.
Yeah, I know I'm much better now. So like I can do much better of a dance now. But like, you know, for any beginner out there, it's like, yo, like it's not that deep. Let's put it that way. It's not that deep, and I think
we're just dancing.
Yeah, I think it's a. I know, at least from my perspective, I've had a few times where the follower himself just like, oh, I'm so sorry, and.
Oh yeah, followers would be saying the same thing, not just leaders. Yeah.
Dude, I used to say I'm so sorry like every single. I've been doing a turn. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's like as though you're doing me like a grave disservice by dancing with me, and I'm like, didn't I say I accepted this dance? You know, like I did actually say yes to you. I am putting myself here to dance. Like it's okay, man. Like you don't need to apologize.
Right.
I think something that'll help a lot of people is just. I don't know. I think you dance better when you just like. It's just a thing about being present, you know.
Yeah.
And
listen to the music. Just dance to the music.
I think we learned that across the time though. Do you have any tips for people? Like I know you kind of mentioned a few things in terms of mindset.
Yeah, I'll do tips. Yeah.
Yeah, tips for like how to if you feel like you're not good, what should they do? You know, like like I'm sorry, you know.
If you feel like I suck at dancing, what should they do? Okay, well. Okay, well, there's like a couple different scenarios here, because like option A is like you actually do suck at dancing, which that's not.
It's okay.
So okay, there's two options. A, you actually do. B, you're actually quite good, and you just have this false belief about yourself. So two different scenarios. Scenario number one, you're not actually that good. Okay, great. Lots of people aren't that good. I mean, I'm not really even like that good. Like. I don't know. There's so many different levels to like being good at a dance style. Like there's just when you think that you're good now, you look above and there's another echelon. You know what I'm saying? So there's that factor. But yeah, when you're just starting, like you are going to not be that good. Like everybody who just starts is not really good at it. That's why they're beginning and starting. So I would say obviously take lessons. Like come to the lesson at the Duce. You know, it's for everybody. You don't have to ever have danced before. You can be totally new. You can be extremely awkward, 2 left feet. It doesn't matter. Like that's what it's there for, right? All of those beginner lessons that usually people will put on before their social, like just an intro, a beginner class. Hit up that class. Like that's why it's there. And plus you'll meet people. And then when you see other people in that class, then you'll know, oh, that's a person I can go ask later. And I'll feel confident because we already like had a quick moment of introduction during the class. So do that, find teams that you can train with or instructors that you can train with or even online resources that you can learn from and train with. There's free stuff on YouTube. There's like all types of paid programs out there. There's, you know, every city, doesn't matter where you are, you can find something. So take lessons for sure. And you can take lessons with like multiple different instructors and like get different perspectives, see like whose style jives with you best. So definitely just take lessons if you want to get better. Obviously, I know that sounds obvious, but it has to be said.
Some people don't know.
It has to be said, yeah. So if you're coming out to Latin Night and you're just like, oh, how do I get better? Like, where should I go and train with? People do ask me that question. Maybe I'll just do a quick shout out. So obviously, come to the beginner lesson that we have on Thursdays beforehand. Number 2, Viveza Dance Company. They teach with us regularly. Pedro is the director of that. He does Salsa Sundays. He does some other stuff. I believe he's still doing privates as well. And yeah, Sabrina teaches with him for Salsa Sundays. Definitely check that out. Definitely check out Stilo Dance Company. That's David's dance company, David and Carla. They have training teams. They have, they teach at festivals and congresses as well. I think they were just at LABKS actually teaching there. So definitely those 2 are affiliated with Latin Night at the Duce, and absolutely like 11 out of 10 could not recommend more. You're getting incredible instruction if you go through either of those routes, and then there's plenty more in the valley. Like I could just sit here and shout everybody all day as well.
That's here in Phoenix, Arizona, by the way, just because.
Yeah, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So definitely take lessons if you feel you're not good enough. Number 2, I already shared that stuff, but just the mindset stuff that I said earlier about like realizing that like even if you're actually not that good, that doesn't mean that you can't have a fun dance with somebody, and it doesn't mean that people don't want to dance with you. There are other people there who are also at the same level as you, who are also just getting started. There are people who are above your level or have been dancing for longer or have more experience, and they are perfectly willing and happy to dance with you. So definitely just realizing that. And then there's also the flip side too, where there's the potential that maybe you're actually not that sucky at dance. Like maybe you have been training for a while, you have been dancing for a while, but you still are just like carrying this like negative belief about yourself that like you just suck, or people just hate dancing with you. Or maybe, like I said, somebody gave you a negative comment one time and like you took it to heart. I think when it comes to that, you just have to realize, like I said earlier, that there are like levels and like echelons to like being good at dance. Like within your group that you train with, like there'll be like somebody who's the best, right? But then like the best. I don't even like to use that term, but maybe the most experienced. Then there's the instructor of that group. Obviously they have more experience, but then that instructor has learned from other people and there's someone who taught them, right? And then if that group of people that's then on that, maybe above them is like people who are doing this full-time, like professional traveling dancers and artists who actually get paid to do this as their career. And then going up a tier from there, there's people who have been at that level for absolutely decades, who are just like globally renowned. Like you go up a tier from that, like there are people who can do cross-genre, like they do every genre, like they've been on TV shows, like I don't know, they've been featured on this, that, I don't know, like Karen and Ricardo or something, you know? Right. They have popular acclaim like on shows, on TV. So it just goes up forever. So you just have to realize that it's like a constant journey, like it's a constant evolution. And also, you don't always have to be necessarily growing and getting better and training. Obviously, like growth is a wonderful quality and we want to strive to be better dancers, but like if you want to focus on another area of your life for a while, or like you can't afford to take classes right now, or whatever, like that's okay. Like you can just chill at your level and like enjoy for a while. Like that's totally fine. Like to be honest, that's kind of that's what I'm doing. I'm not actively training right now. I'm not training or performing with any teams or anything like that. I'm not really like going out to festivals or congresses these days so much. Like I'm just go out and have fun. Like, and that's totally fine. Like to just chill at whatever level you're at and just enjoy it, because I think that's the whole point of social dancing. Like it's not to like be better than other people or to have other people look up to you or idolize you, think you're so great, or to be able to like, I don't know, have this spotlight or that's not like the point of it. So if that's your goal, then like I think you're missing the point of social dancing in my opinion. The goal is to connect with other people. And you can connect with other people no matter how much you suck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. No.
Yeah, I think I was gonna go into since you kind of mentioned it a little bit where there's like so many levels to it. When it comes to just social dancing though, there is a difference between like the social dancing part of it and then there's like the professional part of it. And I think, I think people kind of mix those things up and are too hard on themselves, because at the end of the day, just like for a social dance, like you said, it's just about connecting, and a lot of people say like you don't even need to know too many moves. It's just like,
you can do the basic. You can do the whole dance, just the basic.
Yeah.
I've done that before. In fact, I think I've done that with David Olarte before. Fun dance, man.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with just the basic.
No, I agree. No, yeah, I think it's I think especially for like beginners, when I think or at least when I was a beginner too, I would compare myself. I would see like, I'd see David, or I'd see like Lawrence, like the professionals that are here in Arizona, I'd see Eddie, I'd see Pedro, I'd see like even like some of the people that train with them. It's like all those people, it's like you start to compare yourself, and it's like you got to understand that they have trained like hours and hours and hours, and so it's
they
like,
have spent money on private lessons, on this, that, the other training team.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like you can't. It's not fair to yourself nor to them to compare yourself to them, because it's like it's the reality is that they are way, 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 way more advanced. Not just in like because they're advanced, just because in time, And I think that's one of those things where it's like you got to start somewhere, and sometimes. If at least for me, I know that my biggest thing is that I'm not super confident unless I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So I remember like I there was a couple months in like 4 months where I just like did only training and would go just to QC training just all the time, and that was like religious. Like it was just I'd go Mondays, like basically the whole week, and that helped me to just gain confidence that like okay, like at least like I might not know how to do every turn pattern, but I know that like my basic is as solid as it can be right now, and I think that helps a lot. At least for me, like
just having the basics and the fundamentals really solidify it for sure.
And I think sometimes training, if you need training, at least for me, I'm one of those people that's like training helped me like a shit ton. Like it helped me so much just to be okay with just doing a dance, because sometimes I'm just like fuck, like I can't, or at least when I was starting, right. I was like, crap, I can't even finish a dance because my basic is just, I'm stumbling through my basics. So it's just, at least, I'm a big promoter of training, because I think it's a really cool thing that, if you can, if you have the resources to do it, I say do it, and, train as much as you can, so that way when you're out in the dance floor, you're not feeling, at least when you're out there, it's like, if you're messing up, it's not because like your basic is messing up, it's because you're trying new stuff, and then obviously trying new stuff is you're gonna mess up a couple times, but at least you can always go back to like, you have a safety net.
I completely agree with you on all those points. Like, first of all, comparison is the thief of joy. So I agree with you about that. And then, when it comes to doing the basic and having the fundamentals down, that's gonna, like if there's anyone new listening, like focus all of your attention or most of your attention on that for sure. And timing with the music. Timing gets everybody, man. I swear. Everybody be out here like, oh, I just can't get the timing. Like, especially, I do feel like sometimes people feel that way more when they're dancing salsa on two, because it might not be the rhythm that they're accustomed to with everyday pop music or whatever. But
dancing 1.5.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Dancing on 1.5, is that what you said? Or like dancing on one for like a portion of the song, and then now you're kind of dancing on two for a portion of the song, and then oops, now we're kind of dancing on one, and then suddenly we're dancing on five, and then it totally does happen. Yeah, I would say like that's also another tip too that I talk about like in the etiquette workshops that I was telling you guys about earlier. is especially for leaders, for followers as well, for sure, but even more so for leaders because you are leading the dance. If there is like one thing I think that's gonna just like dramatically improve your dances and dramatically improve like people's enjoyment of dancing with you, it's learning how to do your basic so well, like actually like learning it inside and out and on time to a variety of different songs. So when the DJ drops a slow song, you're not like, oh God, like I'm like rushing through this. Like I don't know how to dance slow. Like why is this so hard? And then the DJ drops like a super fast song and you're just like, and you're like running, like scurrying.
Right.
You're scurrying and you can't get it, you know, or, you know, whatever type of song that they might be dropping. So I would say learning to get your timing and your basic down with a variety of different tempos and different like sub-genres and styles. If you can do that, then your social dancing is just going to be so much more enjoyable because it can really, I've found personally, especially while leading, especially if I'm leading and I don't have the timing and the basic down, like absolutely down to where it's just like muscle memory that I'm not even thinking about it, it's so much less fun to lead from that perspective because the whole time you're like hyper analyzing in your mind. Like you're literally like not even here. Like if I'm dancing with you, like I'm not even like seeing you. I'm like inside my own head. And sometimes people even like they'll look up like this because they're literally like looking in their mind, like trying to like figure out what they're doing. And me as a leader though, I'm really not a very good leader. But yeah, so like if you can just get that onto autopilot where you've trained it so much that it's just like absolutely in your bones, then you don't have to be like in here the whole time while you're dancing, even as a follower too. And you can just be more present with the person that you're with and actually like look them in the eyes, focus on like, oh, now I can like hear more of the music because I'm not so obsessed with like what count am I on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can actually hear more of the music and like the different things that are happening there. And oh, I should execute this turn like right on this moment, and that'll be fun with the musicality. It just frees you to like actually have more fun and actually connect better with the person that you're dancing with because you're not like locked in here thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 over and over and like obsessing about whether your footwork's right and just trying to get it all figured out, you know? Yeah. You can step a little bit more out of like that analytical space when you really have the basic down pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're starting out, like, don't feel bad if that's what you're doing, because like, I feel
mean,
like,
you
gotta start there.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, because I remember when I was starting, like, shit, like, I didn't care who I was dancing. I'm counting, like, I'm dancing with, like, with my kids.
I dance every time.
Right.
I mean, in my head, not out loud.
Right. But if you do
every time I like, it's quiet voice in the back, you know, it's not like dominating my everything, but
yeah.
I'm counting.
Yeah, no, but yeah, definitely like, yeah, when I was starting, I was just like, I don't even know who I'm dancing with. I'm just like worried about the count.
Like you don't even see them. Sometimes you ever had that? You dance with someone, you walk away, you're like, I didn't even see them. Like I didn't even like see
right. Yeah.
who I was dancing with. Like who was it? Like they walk back into the crowd and you can't even pick out like who's the person you just danced with. Yeah. That's when you know you were in your head the whole time. Yep.
It happens.
I mean, it's okay.
To followers
it's okay,
too,
though.
not just leaders. I keep saying leaders, but
yeah,
definitely as a follower, you get in your head for sure too.
No, yeah, definitely.
If you talk about social etiquette, I guess some like top 3 tips for people to walk away with, like, hey, so these are the best practices for like, I guess, I don't know, whatever you choose, maybe approaching or during the dance, you know, or like whatever you choose to do. So it's like your top 3, always like find yourself like.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty hard to like categorize, like narrow down, like these are my ultimate top 3.
Yeah.
But maybe just like what comes to my mind right now.
Right,
What
right,
I just said was definitely one of them, like especially as a leader. Like if you're a leader, definitely get that timing. If you're a follower, definitely also get that timing. So I would say, for everybody, timing, like learn your timing of your basic. That is like top pro tip.
Yeah.
So basic, but you really want to do that. And also, there's really good stuff on YouTube, by the way. Like, quick side note, when it comes to like learning how to understand on-2 timing for salsa, I know a lot of people struggle, like especially if they're switching from on-1. Just go to YouTube, and like there's so much stuff on there of like follow along, like song breakdowns and things like that, where it'll explain to you like how the beat is working. I actually I spent like a lot of time doing that when I was learning to transition from on-1 to on-2.
So, pro tip.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
Yeah. So there's that. Timing is definitely a big one. I would say like a tip for leaders and then also a tip for followers. So like a tip for leaders, this is like the difference I found like of following versus leading. When you're leading, you do want to think ahead a little bit, I find. And again, I'm not like a professional leader. I'm just barely like lead a tiny bit. But you do want to like have like maybe like one move ahead or like maybe a little bit ahead. Because if you don't have at least like the next like beat or something ahead in your mind of like slight idea of like what's gonna happen immediately next and just always be that step ahead, then you'll actually always be a step behind. And that's also sometimes when I see like people get off timing because by the time that you're like, oh, like I'm gonna execute this turn, like the correct time to start the turn has already passed and now you're trying to like retroactively like get into it and then now it throws off your whole rhythm. So for leaders, definitely like in your mind, I would say like think one step ahead or like one count ahead or one move ahead. And then for followers, my biggest tip for followers is to try not to think at all. Which is easier said than done. Especially if you're a person who, if you're someone who's following but you're used to being like very, like if you're like a little bit of a control freak or something, or you're very like analytical or like left brain, like in your work, your job, school, it can be really hard to just like let that go and like feel and be in the moment. But I would say following, for me, like big tip is just don't think, because sometimes
sorry, I don't think his thing was more like listen very, very closely.
Listen, don't think, listen and
listen.
feel.
Yeah,
Because thinking is in your mind. And so when you're thinking in your mind, like if Jose's dancing with me and then he does his back break and I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna give me like a crossbody next. Like I know it. Like he's probably gonna give me a crossbody. So I'm like preparing for the crossbody lead and I almost start to like lead myself, like back lead into it. And then it's like, oh, wait, but that like wasn't what he led. Like he actually led a left turn and I wasn't anticipating to like a left turn, like, oh crap, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And so then you're like, oh, you're like trying to guess, like, what's he gonna do? Like, just let that go. Like, you're not gonna guess what he's gonna do, okay? Because then you get stuck in like the turn patterns and all that.
Yeah,
Instead, you should feel.
Never guess with me.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen.
You never know what happens when you dance with Jose. He might give you a left turn when you're expecting a right.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but yeah, definitely you want to feel. So you want to feel the connection of the frame. Like you want to have your frame for both leaders and followers. You really want to focus on what is your frame and holding that. Because if you're very limp or if you're extremely like, tense?
Yeah.
Both of those will prevent you from actually feeling what the leader is trying to give you. You want it to be like a circuit that flows. Like, so when they give you the energy, you feel the energy and you respond to the energy. And you want to also, another aspect of like listening and connecting is you can also like look at their eyes. Scary, I know. But you can also look at their eyes and like a lot of times leaders will be giving you cues with their eyes. You can also look at their hands. They can be giving you cues with their hands. And that's part of like listening to the body language. Like if Jose puts his hand up like this, you know, and at first if I don't see it or I'm not understanding what it is, you know, sometimes he'll kind of like wave a little bit or like be like really, next time, really clear with it, right? And so like look at the hand and he's offering for you to come in with the hand here. So none of that has to do with thinking in your mind. It just has to do with listening and seeing and feeling. So
I think that's such a, like we just went into like the whole like dance itself, and the role of the follow and the role of the leader. I think you like highlighted it pretty well, because at the end of the day, a follow, like I've seen it myself. Like all I need, like if I'm following, all I need to do is just like almost do nothing, just, you know, not like do nothing, but like sit.
Pay attention.
not nothing, definitely something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta pay attention. You can't be like
really
checked
listen.
out or like off in your head or like over analyzing like everything and guessing ahead. Like that's where you kind of fall into that trap. And then you can develop a bad habit of back leading, which admittedly I do struggle with at times.
Would you actually, I was gonna ask, like, does that reflect something about like does that, I feel like that helps with teaching people not only just like not thinking, but also like follows, or usually women, just being more feminine. I feel like, would you think that there's a correlation there?
What's the question? Is there a correlation between femininity and following?
Yeah.
I would say that to some extent, yeah, there is, just because historically, typically, a lot or most of the time, women tend to be following. Obviously, these days, like, we don't have those gender norms. Like, everybody's free to do whatever they want to do. And also, I really encourage that at Latin Night, too. Like, if you want to do, like, the opposite or, like, less common role or, like, learn both, like, I think that is so cool. So I think everybody should be open-minded to that.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important for both, like, follows to know what leads do and leads to know what follows.
Yeah, exactly. Just try it out, just so you can understand what the other side is. Guarantee you, if you've only ever led, you try following, you're gonna be like, oh fuck.
Yeah. And vice versa too for follows that like it's like, oh shit, like it takes a lot more than just like, because I've had a couple follows where it's like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, it's super easy to fucking lead, and it's like, okay,
no, it's not.
yeah,
it's so
you
not
try.
easy to lead. Oh my god, it's so hard to lead.
Yeah, so it's just,
they're both hard, but they're both hard in unique ways.
Right.
Like, one's hard in this way, and the other one's hard in a different way. Okay, wait, but then back to your question of like femininity and following. So yeah, I would say historically there's obviously a connection, because you look around and most of the time, most follows are women. But that's definitely not always the case anymore, nor do I think that it should be always the case either. I think there should be that freedom. But there definitely is space for like, I don't know, I guess you could say that like the quality of following is almost like a quality of surrender, because what you do is you allow the leader to lead you. You follow what they do. That's pretty obvious, but like just actually thinking about it.
Normally,
it sounds simple, but it's not.
it sounds simple. Yeah, normally in your life,
Like I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna walk to the kitchen. I'm gonna open the fridge. Like I'm controlling my own body. Like I'm making my own decisions for what I do. Like I'm gonna grab my water bottle. Okay, I'm grabbing it now. Like how you would be doing throughout all of your life. However, when you dance with someone and you allow them to lead you, you kind of give up a piece of that to the leader, and you say, hey, like, you're going to move me around. You're going to make a decision of what I do next. And so there is an element of like trust and surrender that comes with that. And I don't know if you could consider that to be like a feminine quality. I think maybe some people would, but I think maybe it's that element versus like femininity. You know, although, yeah, I guess if you consider like from like a yin-yang position.
Yeah,
like if we're gonna get like more esoteric with it, I would say like that the quality of like trust and surrender is probably like more of like a feminine quality thing, like not for like female like women, but like in terms of like more of a feminine energy. Yeah, I could say. But that's not to say, however, like if you are a really masculine guy and you want to follow either just for fun, to try it, or like full time all the time, or to perform or whatever, like that doesn't mean that you have to take on like a feminine essence. Like you don't have to do feminine styling in order to follow, but you do have to be willing to embody like
that aspect of surrender.
Yeah.
I would say, and listening.
Yeah, because leads have to listen too.
Yeah.
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 That's cool. We're getting close to.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I got all the questions. I mean, I'm good.
covered a lot of topics here.
Yeah, we went through a lot.
I
think
literally, just for the record, like if this was a 10-hour-long podcast, I could just sit here and go for
I think
Like right now.
I think yeah, that's a good. I think that's a good like a good podcast is that when it's like we're rolling and it's like you could keep on going for another 4 hours.
I'm like, I got all day.
Right.
We're good. Let's keep talking about dance
Right.
stuff and event production.
Yeah.
I could literally talk about it all day
Yeah.
because I
Maybe
love
we'll
it. So.
Have a second podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
But no, I
Yeah,
think
next podcast.
next
Yeah.
podcast. Sam's like next 7 podcasts is just Sam.
No, I get it.
No, that's dope. No, I think we appreciate all the work that you've done like for the Phoenix community, because I mean, in a way that's we want to highlight like the Sauceros page wants to highlight like the Phoenix community a lot, a lot more, because this is our home base. This
That's
is where
awesome.
this is where we
Good.
want to hype up.
Celebrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously we still want to highlight people that we meet, whether it be internationally or just nationally, like all that's cool. But yeah, you definitely are a big part of the Phoenix community as far as like doing your work. Like you had just said, like going to MC school or MC courses.
MC school. I mean, we didn't call it that, but
Sorry. Like MC courses and all that. Like I think it's super cool, and I think yeah, like I said earlier, kudos to you for everything that you've done for the community, and we just hope that we see it keep it growing, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Thank
that's-
you.
We're supporting going whenever we can. We love it, so we'll be there.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Can you shout out the upcoming events?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
upcoming, yeah, absolutely. So obviously we have our regular Thursday nights. Check our schedule for those because occasionally, like I said, we are canceled sometimes. But we got our normal Thursday nights. That is from 8 until 12. So 8 p.m. is the lesson. It's $10 for the lesson plus social afterwards. Or it's $7 if you come after 9 p.m. for just the social. That's our regular Thursdays. And then our next special event that we have coming up is going to be on Saturday, October 28th. It's going to be our annual Halloween gala, so I'm so excited for that one. Make sure that you start planning your costume now because there is always a costume contest. Every year we do a big one, and I give away like hundreds of dollars for the winners and like runner-up. So yeah, there will be a cash prize just like every year, and usually people they go pretty hard with their costumes for the most part. Like there have been some really iconic ones throughout the years, so no costume is too bold for Latin Night of the Duce. So yeah, Saturday, October 28th, that's gonna be our Halloween event, and we're probably gonna be going late night, I believe until 2 a.m. that night. We're gonna have, I just booked House of Rain, who actually coincidentally, that's Kiana, she just did this henna on me yesterday, but I just booked her. She's gonna be doing skull face paintings. We're gonna be having potentially some surprise announcements. We're gonna be having multiple DJs. Saturday, October 28th. And then the next big event after that is gonna be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I can't remember the exact date on that, but it's the week of Thanksgiving. We do it annually every year now. We have Haleo Latin Music come out and perform a live show for everybody. Usually they do 2 sets up on the stage. And so if you've never danced to live salsa music or live Latin music before, you definitely need to come. Like, you definitely need to experience that. It's super, super fun. We do that every year. So the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we don't do Latin night on Thanksgiving. We do it the Wednesday before. Oh, and then I'll shout out one more time the Text Club as well. Definitely join the Text Club if you love doing Latin night, or if you just want to find out more about our events, or if you're not on social media. Definitely just text us 480-530-5136. And I'm the one that sends out those texts. I just remind everybody of the schedule, and also I give away a lot of free stuff inside of there. So gonna be giving away some tickets through Live Nation soon, some concert tickets. So.
All right, we've got a lot going on. Any last words? Any last things you want to say?
Oh man, I don't know. I guess just like shout out to the whole team for Latin Night, because it's definitely, I mean, obviously like I'm representing it, but it's not just me. Obviously I spoke about David. We've got Viveza Dance Company teaches with us all the time. That's Pedro Gonzalez. And, his various dance partners that he teaches with, Lauren, Sabrina, different assistants that help him out all the time as well. We've got DJ D-Lo, David, he's our DJ, amazing, been with us since day one. Also, DJ Finesse tends to fill in here and there as well. We just had him a couple weeks ago. Shout out Luis. Shout out Elora at the door. If you guys ever roll up and you're having a fun time with our hostess, that's Elora. She's also been with us since the very beginning. Shout out Mary, our other hostess, Diana, other girls that help us out from time to time. Shout out Carla. She does our photography. She's also David's dance partner. They teach a lot. And shout out to everybody from Stilo Dance as well. I know we have various different members from Stilo that come and guest teach from time to time too. And shout out to the Duce. Bartenders, security, all the people who make it happen.
Some good drinks over there.
Some good ass drinks. Good ass drinks.
Yeah.
Now that I'm 21.
So yeah, now that you're 21, let's go.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Wonderful.
Peace.
Thank you.